Hello guys, welcome to Be United TV. Today I want to talk about Brazil's national team. You know, the football team that Brazil has so much quality in terms of players, but they seem to always underperform. And yesterday they lost 1-0 to Argentina. I mean, what can I say? You know, this manager who they have hired, like an interim manager, and I don't think he's gonna do much of a job. You know, he's just there until Carlo comes in. This Brazil team needs, a rebranding at this point. They are relying on individual gameplay rather than team gameplay, and there are some patterns of play that I can see in this team, especially when you have the likes of Vinicius or even the likes of Rodrigo, or who else? Let me think. I think these are the main two players, right? Apart from that, obviously Neymar, he's coming to the end of his career, so he's probably not going to be involved much in the next World Cup. So they're gonna rely on these new stars, which are, Rodrigo and Vinicius. And then they need like a good striker. At this point they have Richarlison, who's alright. I mean, he scored some bangers in the World Cup, but they don't really have a good striker who can score goals in every game. Like, obviously the legend Ronaldo, then you got Adriano, and then there were some good strikers that Brazil had. Now they don't have, and obviously then you're gonna have to use the Real Madrid tactic of putting two wide forwards in terms of either two wide forwards in terms of Vinicius and Rodrigo. I mean, that can be fine, that can work to a certain extent, but is it gonna work when they are playing against the top teams? It won't. And defensively they need somebody who can come in and be a top defender. For example, somebody like Gabriel could be, he could be the one who can take this team forward. But they also need a better center half. Like, I think Eder Militao and Gabriel could do the job. I think Marquinhos needs to be dropped now because he is past his best. And I think Marquinhos has mistakes in him. Like, if you look at the game against Croatia, I believe, he made an error, and it was costly to the Brazil team. Like, Neymar had worked so hard to get the equalizer or put them ahead. I don't remember exactly, but Marquinhos has mistakes in him and he's not reliable. So then you're looking at somebody like a Gabriel or Eder Militao to step up. I think Brazil, this team still has quality all over the pitch, like they always have. Like, Brazil is supposed to be the top footballing nations, but they have underperformed in the previous World Cups. And I think with Carlo coming in, with the likes of new structure, new regime, I think they would be able to perform better, in my opinion. But let's see. I think they need, like, more than a style of play, I think they need a coach who can get the best out of these players. Like, if Brazil knows what its starting 11 gonna look like, then if they keep that same starting 11, then they are gonna be able to be successful. For example, like Argentina, right? In the first game in the World Cup, they they lost that game. And in the second game comes in Julian Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez, and then that was enough for them to, take the team to the World Cup final and win it, because they played pretty much the same lineup until the end. So that's what this Brazil team needs. They need the starting 11 players that are able to gel. And in the midfield, I think they need somebody who's going to be the next sort of Casemiro or Fernandinho. They need like that kind of a player. And then obviously they need like some ball playing midfielders who know how to move the ball. I think right now they probably have some talent, but I haven't seen much of the younger ones, so I can't really tell who's the next sort of Kaká or Ronaldinho type player, or even like players like Oscar, like those kind of players. They had technical ability, so they need somebody in that middle of the park to control games, like how Enzo did along with McAllister. So they need that base formation in the midfield, and once they get that, they have the attacking threat, they have good defenders. So I think their weakest part is the midfield, and that can be improved by Carlo. Like he can find some players, like get a tune out of them, and obviously once he gets those, they should be able to like manage those games. And I think like this Brazil team needs to be groomed for the next World Cup, and the players that the team needs to be built around players like Vinicius, players like Rodrigo, and obviously they got new players in terms of Martinelli, Jesus. I think Jesus, as I mentioned, he's a good striker, but is he gonna be able to win them the World Cup? I don't think he's at that level. He's a good striker, but I think he's not that kind of number 9 who is like a poacher, or he needs to be able to get the cross from the wingers. Like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo will create chances for him. He just needs to be in the right position at the right time. They need a striker like how Cavani was, or that imposing number 9 kind of striker. Richarlison is sort of that, but Richarlison is, again, he's not like that typical number 9 that you want. So as much as I think this Brazil team's attack is good, they still need a striker. And then the midfield obviously needs to be reformed to get to gel. And then you got the defenders that they have. So yeah, this team has a long way to go, but I feel like next World Cup they can by next World Cup they can get this team sorted, and then obviously they're gonna get the chance to be one of the favorites again in the World Cup. Like, I want to see Brazil win the World Cup, because the last time they won the World Cup I was too young and I couldn't like watch how they played. I mean, I have seen highlights, but I mean, obviously that team had legendary players like Ronaldo. Obviously, like, my God, like that guy was a genius. So you got those kind of players, the quality of those players, and now they don't have that. So obviously they are not gonna be able to win those crucial games. But again, this team can be improved, and hopefully Brazil reaches its height and they win the World Cup, because it's been a while, right? You want to see the samba Brazilian flair win the World Cup, and it was possible in the last World Cup when Neymar scored that goal. That's what Brazil is made of. Like that passage of play that you saw against Croatia when Neymar took on like 3 players, like that is what you want to see. And all the goals that Brazil scored were pretty amazing. They were like playing for fun, but then they don't have that like sense of control. They need to be like pragmatic at some points. For that, I think Carlo is the best manager in my opinion. He's like a serial winner. I mean, he's won like Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, La Liga, like name it. The guy is extraordinary. Like I think he would be able to transform this team into serial winners. So as much as I want Argentina, or sorry, not Argentina, as much as I want Brazil to win the World Cup, it can only happen if they play a little bit more with control in the midfield. And that's why I think they need midfield reform. And once they get that, they should be able to, play the way the big teams play. They play with control. So that's what they need. And once they get that, Brazil should be able to win the World Cup. And I think that's what we want to see next World Cup, right? I mean, I know like there are multiple nations that are probably better placed at this moment than Brazil, but you can never count them down. They are always, one of the favorites, and hopefully with Carlo and his winning mentality, they can lift it this time. That's all, guys.